Major support for Do the Math has been provided by Chevron, the Kern County Superintendent of Schools, California Resources Corporation, Kern Schools Federal Credit Union, Panama Buena Vista Union School District, Bakersfield City School District, and the San Luis Obispo County Office of Education, with additional production assistance provided by these supporters of education in Kern County and throughout the state of California.
We are here at the Bakersfield Flying Club live with Fred Webster to plan a flight. Fred, how you doing today?
Doing well, Mickey.
Glad to see you today.
Good to be here.
Now, we're at the Bakersfield Flying Club. Can you tell me what exactly the Bakersfield Flying Club is all about?
Yes, we started a flying club about 6 years ago at the airport on Union Avenue. We kind of outgrew that facility, and now we moved to our new facility here in Atlantic Aviation, and we teach people how to fly. We have airplanes that are available to rent out. So right now we have 3 airplanes and also a full-motion Redbird flight simulator.
Wow, sounds like you guys made a big step up from the smaller airport hangar, is that right?
We absolutely did, yeah. It's been a great club. We have over 100 members right now.
Wow, that's awesome. And they all rent those 3 planes and kind of get along together and make shared flights?
Yes, and then we even have some members that own their own airplanes, so they're able to come out and, just join in some of the activities that we have at the flying club. So we do fly-outs. So we've flown out to Catalina Island and fly to different museums in the valley.
Wow, sounds like a pretty good setup here at the Bakersfield Flying Club. Now, I heard a rumor that we may be making a flight today. Is that correct?
That is correct. We're going to plan out a trip to Las Vegas, Nevada to catch a game.
Awesome. Now, I'm sure a lot of people at home may think you just hop in the plane, punch in a couple things in the GPS, and we're off to the races here. But tell me, is it a little more complex than that?
It is a lot more complicated than that. So what we need to do is figure out a route, how we're going to get there, and then we also have to figure out if the airplane can carry the weight with the baggage, the passengers, and then we also have to figure out our weight and balance and so forth, and how much fuel we need to carry on that trip.
Wow, so it sounds like we have a lot of math coming into play here, but first you said we have to plan a route, is that right?
That is correct.
So I think we're looking at the sectional chart here, and it looks like this orange highlighter here, it looks like we've kind of planned a route starting here, and this is the airport we're at, over here at Meadows.
Yep, that's Meadows Airport.
Okay, so it looks like we're going to start here, and it looks like we're going to follow this orange highlighter route out across the desert, and then finally up to Las Vegas. But Fred, my question to you is, why are we making these different turns here? Couldn't we just make a straight route to Las Vegas at this time?
It would be great to go straight, but unfortunately we have a couple of things. You see this brown, those are mountains, so we need to go around the mountains. But the biggest problem we have is all this blue area. If you see it says restricted, that's where the military does a lot of their training exercises. So there's high-speed jet aircraft flying through there, and we're not allowed to fly through there. So we're going to go around the airspace.
Gotcha. So it looks like, based on our different route stops here and different points that we're going to go to, why did you choose these points, and then how do we use them in planning out our flight today?
Well, the airplane has radios that we could use for navigation, so by the time we get going it might be starting to get dark, so it'd be really hard to follow roads, so we use these VORs to navigate, or we could even use a GPS in the airplane. And this is really a route that would be real common to use to stay away from all the restricted airspace.
Okay, so it looks here on document 1, it says, this shows our flight plan from Bakersfield to Vegas. Now, we're looking here, it says PMD, DAG. Can you kind of tell us what all these different points and numbers kind of represent here?
Yeah, so the PMD is the first point we're going to fly to. It's Palmdale VOR, and then Daggett, and then I picked a point about 25 miles from Henderson Airport that we're going to start descending to get set up for our landing in Henderson. And all of the rest of the things we have to figure out is how the wind is going to affect us, because even though the airplane is pointing, say, directly east, the wind could be blowing us from the north, causing us to track a little bit to the southeast, so we won't stay on course.
Okay.
So we get a weather briefing, and we're able to use some of these tools, a plotter and an E6B flight computer, in order to figure out what wind correction we would need in order to stay on our course.
Okay. So now, talking on the math side of it, the numbers side, how many actual data points go into making a flight? Are we talking about just speed? Does fuel come into consideration to weight? I mean, what really affects a plane's performance? And I guess my question is, how much can we bring on our flight today? Can we load 7 people on the plane, or what are we really limited by in that sense?
That's a very good question, and we do have a lot of math involved. So we're going to look at document number 2, which actually shows the weight of the airplane. So anytime a radio is installed in the airplane or taken out or even upholstery changed, the airplane's re-weighed so we can make sure that we know how much the weight is, and also we want to know the center of gravity, which is really determined by the moment. What the center of gravity is, when we look at an airplane, is it's balanced either nose heavy or tail heavy. So if it's too far nose heavy, it could be hard to land, and also we will burn more fuel. If the airplane's too far tail heavy, if the airplane stalls, which we don't want to stall the airplane,
I don't
the
think
wing
that sounds
stops
like a good
producing lift,
idea.
it's very difficult to recover from that. So,
Okay.
and all the manufacturers have a graph that we have to stay with inside the graph. And document number 4 kind of explains the arm from where the 0 center of gravity is, and we're going to keep moving it back as we put passenger weight in, and then as we move further back, it's going to affect the CG aft even further.
CG being center of gravity, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Center of gravity, yes. And so we have the passengers in the rear, and then we also have the baggage compartment in the back.
Okay.
So then we're going to take a look at document number 3, which I took all of our weights. We have the aircraft weight that we got off the document after our radio was installed.
So that aircraft weight, is this with the airplane, with the aircraft with no passengers, no weight, no fuel?
No fuel, it just includes the engine oil and the weight of the aircraft.
Okay.
And then we'll take the fuel, 156 pounds of fuel, which is 26 gallons. The airplane holds 40 gallons of fuel, but if we put in 40 gallons, it's going to weigh 240 pounds more, which would put us over our max takeoff weight.
Which, at that point, we just can't get off the ground. Is that right?
Well, we could take off, but it could be dangerous, so we don't want to do that. So,
Yeah. We'll stick with the. I like the air of caution there. We'll roll with that.
so it'd be nice to go with fuel tanks, but we have 3 people that want to go and a lot of bags, so we either have to leave someone behind, or we'll just leave some less fuel.
Okay, sounds good. So we're looking down here. We have pilot and front passenger, and then rear passenger, and so forth.
So then we have 200 pounds for the rear passenger and all this camera gear, and then 100 pounds of bags, and it comes up to a total of 2,294 pounds, 0.6 pounds, which is just under a 2,300 pound weight, so we're good there.
So we're right at the envelope of what the manufacturer is recommending we take on board.
Which
that
is
right?
no problem at all, yes.
All right.
The next thing we look at, we add all those moments, which are measured from the front of the back of the aircraft off this previous graph I showed
Okay.
you. And we'll add all those up, and that comes up to 103.8. Another thing just about fuel, what I like to talk about fuel is with the 26 gallons of fuel, it's about 3 hours of fuel. And when we looked at our flight plan, we had figured it was 2 hours and 13 minutes to get over to Las Vegas.
Okay.
So we don't want to land in Las Vegas with no fuel at all. So the FAA actually requires you have 30 minutes of fuel, which is about 4 gallons, and no one would want to land with just 4 gallons of fuel, because what if you couldn't find the airport? Now you'd have not much fuel left at all.
Okay.
If it's at nighttime, you're required to have 45 minutes of fuel. So we'll probably be getting there at night, so we want to have at least 6 gallons when we land, but we're probably going to have about 15 gallons.
Okay, so these are all just cautionary numbers that we want to make sure are within our margins of safety. Is that right?
Absolutely, yeah, we want to be safe, because we can't just pull over to the side of the road like you can in a car.
And
So-
wait for a tow truck to bring us some gas. Once
Yes.
we're out of gas, we're kind of like a paper airplane. Is that right?
That is like a paper airplane, a big glider.
I like that idea. It makes me a little happier inside. So now we're looking at this document. It talks about center of gravity limits. Can you kind of explain to us, do those other numbers we just calculated in terms of weight and moment apply in this graph?
They sure do. So this is the graph that the aircraft manufacturer came up with. They test the airplane to make sure that it'll be safe. So first they come up with the weight column is on the left-hand side, and the center of gravity is on the bottom. So we knew we came up with a weight of 2294.6, so we could just go right up to the top 2,300 we come across, and we came up with a moment of 103.8. So what we need to do is, that moment has actually been divided by 1,000, so we're working with smaller numbers. So we took that 1,000, or times it by 1,000, so now it came up to 800, 103,800, and we're going to divide it by the weight, and that'll give us our center of gravity inches, 45.24.
Okay.
So it puts us inside the envelope. So we took the 45, we're up here, and that's where our final center of gravity of the airplane is. So we're well within the safety envelope of the aircraft.
So the manufacturer is telling us because of our weight, where it's distributed, we are safe for our flight. It looks like we're green to go.
That's it. We're green to go.
All right. Sounds good.
We are here at the Bakersfield Flying Club live with Fred Webster here at the plane to continue our flight plan. Now, Fred, we did all that paperwork inside. We went over the numbers. We crunched it all. It looks like we're underweight. Can we just hop in and start the engine up and take off?
That sounds like a great plan, but we're not going to do that. So
Oh.
before we get flying, we're going to actually do a pre-flight. We actually have a checklist that we use to pre-flight the airplane.
Okay.
And then once we get the airplane pre-flighted, one of the big things we have to worry about on this aircraft is make sure that we don't have too much fuel, because we figured out we needed, I think, 26 gallons of fuel. So we're going to check the fuel. And the way we check the fuel, which just kind of looks like a straw, and it has numbers on it, and we'll drop it down in the fuel tank, put our finger over it and pull it out and make sure that we have the right amount of fuel, to make sure that we have enough fuel for the journey, and also that we're not have too much fuel that we can't take off because we're overweight.
Yeah, that's right. I remember because you were pretty close on that margin there. So you said we're starting in the cockpit, right? Are we just
Yeah,
gonna,
so we're going to walk around and
Okay.
we'll start
I'll
out in
meet
the
you on
cockpit.
this side. I'll meet you over
right.
there. All right.
So when we get in the airplane, we want to unlock the flight controls so that we could check them as we do our pre-flight. And we follow the checklist along, make sure that everything is completed before we go outside. We check all of our required documents, just like in a car, it has a registration.
Okay.
And we also have an owner's manual in case we have any problems with the airplane once we take off.
Okay.
We'll know how to deal with it. There's emergency checklists in here, as regular normal procedure checklists as well.
Okay. So it's kind of your all-in-one. If you need anything, this is where it is.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
And a lot of the radios are very complicated, and we'll show those once we get done with the pre-flight. So there's also manuals for the radios, how to operate them.
Perfect. All right. So we've checked inside the cockpit. Everything looks like it's ready to go for now. We talked about checking fuel quantity.
Yes.
So where's the fuel kept? I mean, is it below our feet, in front of us? Where's the fuel kept in an airplane most commonly?
Inside the wings. Each of the wing has a fuel tank. So.
Ah, I didn't know that. Let's check it out.
All right.
So there's fuel in the wings right now. Is that what I'm hearing?
There is fuel in the wings.
Okay.
So we hope so. We need fuel to go to Las Vegas.
Yes,
so.
we do.
So we're going to actually drop the tank in. This is showing right at 15 gallons. So, and I checked the tank on the other side already, and it has 12 gallons. So that gives us 27 gallons.
That's right. I think that was right as how much we needed, correct?
We needed exactly 26 gallons. So we have one extra gallon. So
Gotcha.
we'll probably have to burn a little bit of that off before we take off.
Okay, so we would just kind of let the engine run up for a little bit
Maybe
to kind
I'll
of burn
even just
that?
turn around a patch by
Okay.
myself, and that'll burn up the fuel.
I like it. All right. So we've checked the fuel. We're saying it's good to go. Now, I'm looking here, and this is kind of, usually if something's red, it's kind of like an important item here. What is this here?
This is a cover that covers our pitot tube, and the pitot tube is what works our airspeed indicator, which tells us how fast the airplane is flying through the air.
Okay. And now, I remember on our flight plan, did we have an airspeed where we have to go at? Is there an airspeed that'll help us get there the fastest, but also be efficient?
Yeah, we're actually set a power setting, so we had figured out the power setting is going to be 2,500 RPMs,
Okay.
and that'll determine how much fuel we burn, and also the performance numbers in our manual tell us how fast we'll fly. So we'll be at 110 knots flying through the air, which is about 130 miles per hour.
So we'll get there pretty much faster than anyone on the ground.
Absolutely. A little over 2 hours to Las Vegas is a good short distance flight.
I'll take that. So what else do we have to look at on the plane in terms of like a pre-flight before we hop in and start the engine? What are the important things we have to check on?
It's very detailed. So we want to check and make sure that there's no damage to the leading edge of the wing.
Okay.
And we check all of our lights.
Now the lights, are these the You know, what I see two different ones here. What's the difference?
Yeah, so we have a red light, almost like boats have the same thing.
Okay.
So we have a red light on the left wing, a green light on the right wing, and a white light on the tail, so that you can tell which direction the airplane's flying if you just saw it flying through the air. These are strobe lights, so it's easier, almost like a flash bulb going off. So it's much easier to see the airplane day or night with those flashing strobes.
Okay, more of just kind of help other people see you in the air and to see other people as well.
Yes, yeah,
So it's all relating back to that safety factor, right?
Yes, yeah, and especially on a day like today where it's pretty foggy, so we want to be able to have people see us.
Okay.
This is called an aileron, okay? And what the aileron does, if you notice, if I move the aileron down, as the air hits the bottom of the wing, it's going to lift this wing up. If we look on the other side, the other aileron is up. So as the air goes across, it's going to push that wing down.
Okay, so
And
they're
that's
always
what helps
one's
us
being
turn.
lifted and one being pushed down.
Yes, so they work in opposite directions. So if we turn the wheel to the left, our thumbs are facing up, and that's pointing at the up aileron. If we look to the right, we'd see the other aileron down.
Okay.
The other big flight control surface, if we pull back on the control yoke, it causes the elevator to go up. And right now you can see the elevator's kind of drooping down. So that is what happens if we push forward on the yoke.
It pushes that tail up to kind of put the airplane in a down position?
Yes.
Okay.
And really what everyone thinks that makes the airplane go up and down, and really what it does is it controls how fast the airplane's moving. So if the nose is pointed up too high, the airplane's going to be slower. It also increases the angle of attack on the wing.
Now the angle of attack, is that just how much wind is hitting surfaces?
No, it's actually the direction of the airplane with the opposite against the angle of the actual direction of travel of the airplane.
Okay. So now I'm looking at these antennas up here. I think we have one more item we can talk about. What's this one here in the back? It's kind of sticking off the middle here. Why is that so important?
Black antenna, it's an ELT antenna, and that stands for Emergency Locator Transmitter. And this aircraft has a GPS controlled one. So what that means is the GPS in the airplane feeds information to it's the black box. Everyone's heard of the black boxes. Direction.
Oh, okay.
They're
yeah.
bright orange. So if we ever land or crash somewhere, it turns on automatically if you have an impact. So the search rescue folks could come find us.
Gotcha. So again, relating all back to that safety here, it looks like, even from the pre-flight to even out here at the airplane, it's all about safety and having a safe flight.
Absolutely, yeah. We want to be safe.
I love it. Perfect. All right, when we come back, I hear I'll be taking the controls. We'll see how it goes. We're here for our last segment today at the Bakersfield Flying Club with Fred Webster. We've checked out the plane. I've hopped in the simulator here at the club. And it looks like it's time to go for a flight, right, Fred?
Absolutely. So
All right.
we need to set up our navigation radios for the first leg of our flight.
Okay.
So the first thing we're going to do is fly the Palmdale VOR. So
Okay.
let's go ahead and put the frequency in. It's 114.5.
Okay, so we just kind of adjust it with the knobs. And
Yep.
now
Oops.
the
There we
VOR,
go.
are we flying towards that frequency?
Yes. So it'll let us know where we're at in relation to this navigation facility that's out in the middle of the desert in Palmdale.
Okay.
So we look at our course that we had calculated earlier, it's 122. So we could go ahead and adjust this navigation radio to 122. Oh, of course it was all the way around on the other side almost. So there we
That's
go.
all right.
All right, so there we go. So that's set to 122. And we're going to make sure that we have it set on the VOR. There we go. And we're ready for takeoff. So
All
once we
right.
get airborne, we'll make a right turn and start heading towards Las Vegas.
Sounds like a plan. So go ahead and talk me through it. What do I have to do next?
All right, so we're lined up on the runway.
Okay.
So we go ahead and bring the throttle all the way in.
Okay.
And once we get to about 55 miles an hour, knots, and that's what the pitot tube that we looked at on the airplane,
Okay.
that's what that's reading is the airspeed of the airplane. So at around 55 knots, we'll give it a little bit of back pressure.
Okay. A
And
little back pressure here.
okay, perfect. And we'll put the nose just about on the horizon line. Excellent. And that'll give us the proper, remember the pitch is controlling our airspeed, remember?
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
control
With
the
the
elevator.
yoke. Okay.
So we'll hold it at that pitch angle, and about 80 knots is a good airspeed to climb out at.
Now, kind of talk me through these different instruments here. What are they showing us?
So on the very far left, we'll talk about these, are called the six-pack instruments.
Oh, so every pilot has a six-pack, right?
That's it. They go to
I
the
knew
gym
it.
and work out. So we have the airspeed indicator, and then we have the attitude indicator, which shows your airplane's relation to the horizon,
Okay.
either pitched up or down, or banking left or right.
All right.
Then we have the altimeter, which reads how far the airplane is above sea level.
Okay.
Bakersfield's around 500 feet above sea level, so when we took off, we were already at 500 feet. And it has 3 hands in it. That's 10,000, 1,000, 100. So right now, we're less than 2,000, so we're at 1,700 feet and climbing. The next instrument we have is a backup to let us know if the wings are level or not. It's called the turn coordinator. And then we have the directional gyro, which is kind of like a compass. And then we have the vertical speed indicator. It shows how many feet per minute the airplane's climbing or descending.
Okay.
So what we're trying to do is turn around to about a 120 degrees, and that'll put us on our first leg towards Palmdale.
Okay, so it kind of tells us this is the general direction you need to take for now?
Yes.
Okay.
And then we'll have that little sectional chart out that we had earlier to kind of follow along to make sure we're on course.
I like it. So it's not all just hop in the plane, punch a couple things, and you're off to the races. It seems like there's a little more procedure to it than that.
That is correct. And a lot of math involved, because we would write down what time we took off from, because we want to make sure that we're following our flight plan, because let's say the first leg is supposed to take us 39 minutes.
Okay.
Well, if it takes us 1 hour, so we're running late, that's not a big problem, but the big problem is we won't have enough fuel, right?
Yeah, we got to make sure we have just enough fuel to get
so
there.
we want to make sure that we run on time, because the longer the engine runs, the more fuel we burn.
Okay. So it looks like we're coming up on 122 here. So I just want to kind of roll level and stay on that heading.
Perfect. And we can almost even visually look out. We kind of want to fly right through that little pass right there.
Okay. So now when we talked about that fuel consumption, you said we had to fly at about 2,500 RPMs, is that right?
Well, we're going to climb at full power, but
Okay.
once we level off, and we're going to climb to 5,500 feet. That's what we planned our flight at.
Okay.
And then we'll set the 2,500 RPMs to get the right true airspeed.
Okay. Very nice. So it looks like there's more planning than people think when it comes to flying planes. There's a lot more math involved, a lot more using numbers in different ways. Is that right?
That is correct. So we do use a lot of math to be a pilot.
Perfect. So I'm going to kind of hold one hand on the wheel here. And from all of us here at Do the Math, we want to say thank you for letting us come out today and kind of learn what it takes to be a pilot and what it goes into making a flight, even if it's just to a University of Las Vegas. It seems like there's a lot more steps than a lot of people think of. So we want to say thank you for having us out today and letting us
absolutely.
learn a little bit.
Thanks for coming out to visit the Flying Club.
Definitely. And how would people find out about the Flying Club if they wanted to get interested?
On our website at BakersfieldFlyingClub.com.
Perfect. So, Fred, again, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Major support for Do the Math has been provided by Chevron, the Kern County Superintendent of Schools, California Resources Corporation, Kern Schools Federal Credit Union, Panama Buena Vista Union School District, Bakersfield City School District, and the San Luis Obispo County Office of Education, with additional production assistance provided by these supporters of education in Kern County and throughout the state of California.